Hey, welcome to Up Shifts Creek. We are so glad you found us here. My name is Jana. I am a former pastor and relationship coach of 25 years, turned creative entrepreneur and doing this work here and unpacking the wild ride along the way. I was joined by some lovely ladies and we wanted to resurrect that medicine, and I got the privilege of dissecting every little bit and piecing it all back together and learning editing in the process. Welcome to the episodes before the podcast. The long hours and energy and heart that was put into this work. I'm so honored to bring this work to life so that you guys are back to life so that you guys can enjoy it. Some of us started this work back in 2024 and then it went away late last year. So this is a dissected and pieced back together work of art, a stained glass window, if you will. We reflect on that in our wrap-up sessions. And we have a Wild and Wise season 1 coming soon. So stay tuned, stay connected, stay wild, and stay free. All of our socials and ways to stay connected will be linked in the description. And if you are in a place where you are ready to do some deep dive work, I do have a special place for that, and that is permissiontobe.org, where I hold that space for you. So if you would like to connect there, let's jump on over there. It would be my honor. Enjoy. I'm ready. I'm excited for this.
So human design, in my words, in my experience, is how we take in, use, and output energy, and how our energy engages with the world around us. And so the idea behind knowing what your human design is to know how to use your energy in a way that serves you best and ultimately serves the people around you best. You can learn how to manage your energy. You can learn how to make correct decisions for yourself and just get a general acceptance of how you're wired in those moments when you're like, I want to be a certain way, but I don't feel like I can or I shouldn't because this is the way that I'm told to be. But then to just remember who you are again and own it and be able to trust yourself when you're making those decisions and connecting with yourself. So there's 5 different types. There's a manifesting generator, a manifester, a projector, and a reflector. And each one of those have different auras. And those different types are determined by which centers in your chart are defined or undefined and which channels that you have. So there's 9 centers, and each center is an energy center that governs a certain part of the body and a certain type of energy that flows through the body. And it's very, very deep, and you can go down a lot of rabbit holes with this, but I think that it's best to just stick to your strategy and authority. So you don't really need to know much about all the different centers and how they work and how they're connected. You just need to know what your strategy and authority is first. And so I think that's what we're going to focus on today with Tristan. She is a generator, which means that in the body graph she has the sacral defined. It's the square that's right over where like your belly button is. And that is the creative life force energy. And so people who have that defined are generators. So there's manifesting generators, which have an extra layer of the way that energy circulates through their body and the way that they express it. But they're both grounded in the fact that they are the creators of life. They put out that energy that then the other types get to use or guide. And so your strategy is to wait to respond. So your aura is like this big warm hug, and you're a magnet for what resonates with your aura. So the more connected you are, the more authentic you are, the more you're flowing with the things that you love, then the more magnetic your aura is going to be to attract all the things that match that. And so waiting to respond allows you the energy and the time to wait for that opportunity to come to you that is the correct match to you. And instead of like rushing out and doing it and going and finding it, that's can be really exhausting to do. And you don't have to do that because you can just magnetize life to you. And because your sacral is defined, you have a authority in your gut that gives you a yes, like a pull forward, or a no, which is a push backwards. So your authority is your body's like gut and intuition. So you're a generator. Your strategy is to wait to respond, and your gut or that sacral center is your authority that tells you whether the opportunity, the person, the place, the sound, the whatever the stimulation is correct for you to engage with. And the more that you tune into that authority and you're putting all of your energy into the things that are correct for you, the more energy you have, the more, you know, accessible those higher frequency energies are. You're with people that you love, you're doing what you love, and it all just feels really good. That feeling like you know something, but you don't know how you know it, but you just feel it in your body. When you tune into it, that yes is like a pull forward, and the no is a push backwards. You can literally feel in your body when you're being pulled towards something or pushed away from something, and that's your yes and no.
I think I didn't know how to feel it. You know what I mean? That's something like, getting understanding my human design more, and I'm learning it a lot right now in real time. And one thing that I've started to do is put a lot of focus on trying to understand that gut feeling, because I know that that is almost a power of mine that I can use, um, in any situation, anything. But it's like a muscle that I'm trying to build because I've lived my entire life just not knowing what it meant, or not knowing what safety was, or maybe all I knew was like chaos. So I thought that it was like almost like I was brainwashed into thinking that that was okay. I just knew no different, you
Yeah.
know? So having the awareness now, today, I'm able to try to understand those feelings. And it's crazy because when I pay attention to it, I realize all the times in the past that that I did feel it. I felt it the whole time, but I just didn't know, and I didn't know how to recognize it or how to use it to my advantage or as a power of, I didn't know how. And yeah, I guess, like, okay, so the part I don't understand that much, which I'm trying to understand, can you help me understand the responding? So you said that it like makes me, like, it magnetizes me, but I'm like, literally, am I waiting to respond, or is it just like reacting? Like, or I guess I don't know how to interpret it.
So you're instead of reacting, you're taking a pause to be able to respond because you're checking in with your gut first. And so this is what happens to a lot of generator kids when they're in an environment that isn't correct for them, like being parented in a way that's not correct for them, um, is they cut themselves off from that gut feeling and that intuition and that tuning in. So it never goes away. You're just deciding not to listen to it, and you're letting the mind or the systems that you've been programmed to follow actually make the decisions. And so that's where, like, that consistent tuning into your gut, like, your mind is just a tool to gather information. It's not a decision making tool. Your gut is the decision making tool. And so, like, anytime you get up in your head, that's where, as a generator, you get into your body, but that forces you to pause and be present. And when you do that, then you're in a space to be able to respond instead of react.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's a lot of it, like environment plays a role in like how aligned I actually was
As you
because
were
of
growing
what I
up.
was exposed to, and just kind of almost a lack of ignorance because in a way, ignorance sounds bad, but it is. It's like I just didn't know.
Well,
You
yeah,
didn't
we,
know
we
what you
only
didn't know.
know what we know.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
we're not guilty of, but I think when you ask the question though about magnetizing, I think what she's talking about is whenever you wait to respond, you're, in other words, you're not out there driving things to make it happen, but you're waiting to respond to the things that are drawn to you, that are attracted to you.
yeah, yeah. Actually, in my real life, like work life right now, that's been a thing. Like I have always thought that I had to hustle super hard and chase everything and work so hard to get the things that I wanted. And then if I worked really, really hard, then I was gonna get rewarded for it. And it worked. I did get rewarded always, but I lost a lot of myself doing that. And so right now I'm in a period where I am really trying to, like, instead of like the hustle culture and go get it, like, and burn out all over and over and over again. I'm trying to just lead with like my intention and be strategic and allow things to come to me and say yes to the right opportunities, but show up and be in alignment to make it happen. So it's all like strategy and intuition based now is what I'm trying to shift to, because I'm like, dude, I've been doing it wrong for the last 15 years. I've been hustling. I've always been the hardest worker. I've always, like, and it's like, no wonder why I'm so drained and exhausted and don't
Yes.
want to do
So
anything and go into like these periods of time where I will literally just shut down and isolate and all of that. It makes
yeah,
sense.
it's because you are in survival. Your nervous system is on high alert. You're living in a situation day to day where you are in fight or flight, and there's no room for what you have created for yourself over the last few months as you've gotten out of a situation where your nervous system is in constant fight or flight, and now you've created for yourself a space to breathe and to like let your nervous system calm down. And when that calmness comes, that's when you actually get to tune into your gut and listen to it and make decisions from it. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that you went from, this life of being in constant reaction to now this life that you created for yourself is just, it's life changing.
Yeah. So now for me, I'm understanding that it is really like gut led and gut driven when it comes to like making decisions or choosing what's in my alignment. Um, like, how would like somebody else who like maybe isn't sacral, like, what other types of like, is it authorities?
Strategies?
Yeah, no, I thought strategy was respond.
Like other authorities in within a generator
Yeah, so like I know
body type.
now, like if I am in another abusive situation, or if I was to tell myself in the past like, hey, you can trust your gut, use your gut, like how does like it affect the other authority types, like what kind of different authorities are there that people can understand how to know and make decisions, I guess, when it comes to that.
So your authority is determined by your defined centers. And so because you're a generator with a sacral defined and you don't have the emotional center defined, those are the only two types of authorities that generators can have. Um, if they have the emotional center connected to the throat as a generator, then they're a manifesting generator. That's what makes the difference. Is they have a manifesting generator has a motor to the throat and the sacral defined. So the other types, if they don't have the sacral defined, then there's 6 other authorities. It's the splenic authority, the ego authority, which is the heart. There's G defined, which is the G center, the direction and love identity center. The mental, and then reflectors have no authority at all because they don't have any centers defined.
Oh, wow.
So the authorities for each type look different too. So an emotional generator looks different than an emotional projector, or like Jana, an emotional manifester. So each authority can present differently depending on what your type is, because each one has a strategy that that they follow with that authority, or they use them in conjunction together. So it's very like each type is very nuanced. So even down to like the profiles and the different conscious and unconscious, it goes very layered. It's very layered when it comes to how people engage with each other.
But isn't there like a kind of a general consensus that like if you're emotional, it's a good rule of thumb to write out both a high and low wave. Like you kind of take your time where maybe a splenic is like they might get that instant, kick or hit or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and they are the opposite. I mean, they're on opposite sides of the chart,
Yeah.
but the emotional, you have to ride your emotional wave, which is what Jana is. So, in order for her to come to clarity, no matter what her strategy is, she has to ride out her emotional wave. And then you two are open, emotional, and I think one of you are defined splenic. So open emotional, like you don't have to have that extra step. But if you're splenic, your truth is only in the now. So the emotional is there's no truth in the now. The splenic is there's only truth in the now. And so they have to make the decision like that. So it is almost a reaction, but it's still grounded and rooted in their authority.
The thing that would help me the most is just understanding the difference between living in alignment and not living in your alignment, and that we are all kind of made with a cheat code that we can look at and understand, like, how can we not wake up with anxiety every day and depression every day. And it's like when you kind of start to understand your powers, and your strengths, and maybe where you need to put a little bit more extra attention, like, I think it pushes you into alignment, and then you can receive good. When you're living out of alignment, I mean, I talked about in the last episode, how there was like during that time, there were so many bad things just happening to me, like back to back to back to back to back to back. And I was also like working 16-hour shifts a day, like, and had I known that that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing, and I just was doing what I thought was best and what maybe others around me had taught me to do, that maybe worked for them, but didn't work for me. You know what I mean? So I think if I would have known that, I would have been able to make decisions sooner to help myself in better ways. I think we can still make mistakes. So, you still have to be able to think through that. But yeah, I think I would have been able to make a lot better decisions for myself and not been in these positions for so long, um, and so many times back to back. It's because, like, that's what I was putting out and that's what I was attracting to. It's just when you understand your human design and start to look at it and, you know, wonder like, who am I meant to be? What is my true alignment? It just changes your perspective on things. I think a lot of the toxic relationships that I've been in, I almost just accepted as the normal because it was really all I knew. There was always some sort of dysfunction in all of my relationships, so I didn't really know any different. And I think I mentioned, like, you know, I wish I had the resources and I wish that, you know, there was, if I just knew, I think things would have been different. And maybe they wouldn't have been because maybe I just wasn't divinely ready. Who knows, right? But I wanted to actually make a resource available to anybody who is kind of going through that push and pull where you're not really sure if, you know, your relationship is healthy or safe to be in. And maybe you just haven't been able to understand yourself and what truly is going to be in your alignment and what's for you and what's not for you. So I know how it can feel to not really know which way to go. And I feel really strongly that if I did have the resources, that I would have been able to make better decisions, get myself out of these situations quicker. So I made a free escaping abuse survival guide where it can actually help you understand if you're truly in an abusive situation or not. And if you are in an abusive situation, you're going to have access to like a safe getaway plan that can help you start finding an exit when you are ready and committed to doing that. It is not an easy thing and it's a very scary thing sometimes, but you don't have to continue suffering, and you do have a way out. And I think when you know that there is a way out, that hopefully, I guess my hope is that you will use that as encouragement to find your way out of that situation. I know how important discretion is when you are in unsafe, abusive relationships and situations. And I know you a lot of times won't have a lack of, or you won't have privacy. Um, and so I wanted to make this tool incognito. So when you do download it, you don't have to worry about it, you know, being saved in your phone or having anything around it talking about you possibly or implying that you might be in an abusive situation. So hopefully this helps somebody. And if you know anybody who could benefit from it, I would also recommend sending it to them.
Yes, I love this so much. So good.
The difference between your charts is you have the spleen and the root defined. Both of those, I think, because you have consistent access to that energy, I think might have made you more inclined energetically to leave a situation as soon as you were like, no, this is not for me. So, and Tristan does not have those two centers. So one of the things that's interesting about not having the spleen is so when you have an undefined spleen, the not self mind, which are like the conditioning that you get, says this not self mind strategy is holding on to what is not good for you out of fear or a false sense of security. So because you have yours undefined, you're more likely to be conditioned in the not self to hold on to things because out of fear, but you are defined. So it's not as likely that you would do that unless you had other specific conditioning that forced you, like that put you into that mindset.
So in a way, yeah, you were more aligned, but not really in like a higher than like, ooh, look, I'm more aligned, but that it was aligned for you and your authority and what feels natural for you. Whereas for her, even though you guys are both generators, it didn't feel as natural for her. She's more of a she processes differently, or and it could also be her profile, because their profiles are also completely different. And I know that with even with my profile, I like to experience things, and that's how I learn. And then I tell y'all about my experience, whether you wanted to hear about it or not. And someone tried to tell me one time, because I was telling her about my experience, but I was also kind of saying my hesitation about something, or not my hesitation, but like just my observation. And she kept trying to tell me, well, you know what curiosity did? And I was like, curiosity killed the cat. And she was like, that exactly. And I was like, yeah, I'm still going to be the curious cat, because if the cat wasn't curious, we're not going to figure out what in the hell's going on anyway. So I've got more lives. So, but it was almost like, now that I know my human design, her talking that way to me, and she didn't really know me. I was just immediately like, nope, I'm going to be the curious cat, because I'm that 3/6 baby.
That's how you're
So,
designed. Yeah.
yeah,
So
so it
like
doesn't
when
make
you
me
talk
better or
about
worse.
when you
Yeah.
talk about alignment, like alignment with what's correct for you, but then that's different than having consistent access to the energy of. And so your design makes it so that you have consistent access to the energy of curiosity, and it feels natural to you, and it feels good to you, and it feels correct. But she may not have been wired that way, or conditioned to believe that way. And so you have consistent access to your well being, whereas Tristan doesn't. And so if she's in her not self and not tuned into her gut and not choosing things that are correct for her, then that's when she's acting out of alignment with herself, because she doesn't have consistent access, but you do. So it's
Very
easier for you to
interesting.
stay in alignment because you have consistent access to that noticing well-being. But here's the thing, is that in our open centers, that's where we're here to become wise. And so Tristan, because she has an undefined spleen, she's here to become wise about other people's lack of well-being. So your wisdom is being able to, like, having the potential to read the lack of well-being in others.
Mm.
And so that's like a point of, like, where your lived experience can help guide somebody through being able to choose things that are correct for them, so they're not acting out of fear.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, natural guide right there.
The
Mhm.
emotional alchemist, like,
Yep.
it doesn't matter what you're going through, I can help you
Yeah.
understand and find your way out now that I've been able to live through it firsthand and am living in that right now. So no, it feels really good. It was really good. And it's crazy too, because I'm astrology nerd. So I my Lilith is in Pisces. And when you have your Lilith in Pisces, you are oftentimes prone to abuse and addiction, and you chase love because you want to be loved so bad. But you are so prone to abuse and manipulation and all of these horrible things. And I'm like, it makes sense. Like, literally, my story is written in my human design, is written in my astrology. They like fill each other's gaps. You know what I mean? You can fill the story here with astrology, fill it here with human design, and they always align too. It's crazy. But that's really interesting to think about. She has said in the past, like, why didn't you just leave? Like, I don't
Fun.
get it. It pisses her off. She's like, that's why we had the falling out with the last dude, is because she knows that she would never be able to, like, she
Yeah.
wouldn't put herself there, so she doesn't understand why
Yeah.
I would. Well, now she does understand, but Yeah, well, I mean, it is kind of feeling bad. Like I don't know why. I just feel like I would hate to lose me.
How Taurus of you.
But no, I do feel bad. I do feel bad, but I think also it's like I stick with things even though my heart's not in it, and that's also, I think, part of my nature. That's Taurus. It's like I will ride or die for just the wrong fucking things sometimes, and I'm learning through that. Does our human design, like, is there things that complement each other, I guess, or
Was it
like is there
fate?
anything we can see in our human design charts that like would validate why we feel that way towards each other?
Not that I can automatically say, because again, it's just such a unique experience when something hits, when
Yeah.
something is a yes. So that's what I was going to ask and kind of described it a little bit about like what your body said when you got the first opportunity to respond to her, like that meeting, like what do you remember, like your body pulling forward? Did you feel that in your body?
Yeah, like we're drawn to each other. It was like we already knew each other.
Could it be too that with the defined and open or undefined centers that they could kind of draw to each other too, as far as like, I know an open center is always seeking to be defined.
So
So,
the only two centers that get defined when you're both together, that like Tristan doesn't have the spleen or the root, and you have both of those defined. But your other centers that both of you have undefined don't get defined in your overlap, which, sometimes that can happen where one of you have a channel and the other has the completing channel, or one has a gate and the other has the completing gate for that channel, and that would activate both centers on either side of that channel. But yours don't do that. You're just taking on her two centers. And so the fact that you guys are both emotionally um, undefined means that it's easier for you. You don't have somebody else's energy or emotions telling you how to feel. You guys can both are free to feel your own feelings because
Mm-hmm.
that's still very open. Um, and then the open head, you guys can be very creative together because you don't define that together. So it's not like one person's dominating. So there's lots of room for like inspiration and dreaming. And it could just be level of health too. You know, you're you are at the same level of health and came together in order to grow from that point. Like you guys were just ready to kind of step in with each other and generate like this amazing creative energy together. And it started when you met, and then now you're actually seeing it come through and manifest.
Crazy to think about. We can definitely see that in our astrology.
yeah.
We can look at the transits.
And human design uses Western astrology in its configuration of the system, so
That
it
makes
is
sense.
totally right in line. This is what I was going to say, like the opportunity that you have together to be able to ask yes and no questions if you're trying to guide the other through a decision. Like, say, the mind is getting too involved or there's too many factors and you're trying to clear through them. Being able to ask Tristan yes or no questions will help her tune into that truth in her gut so that then she can, you know, come to clarity through kind of filtering through getting out of the mind into her body, getting embodied. Um, Anything that you love to do that gets you in your body will help you to connect to that inner authority. So, like I have clients who love to exercise, and so I'm just like plank for as long as you can, plank and feel your body, feel that energy going through your body, And then once you're in that body, your body, and you're feeling it, then you'll be able to know what your yes and no is, because you'll feel it, because you're so connected to it. So like different embodiment practices are really helpful for generators.
That's good to know.
And the thought of somebody asking me a shit ton of yes or no questions, like literally, like makes me viscerally go, ugh.
Yep.
Because I am not designed that way. Like you guys start rapid firing, I'm gonna be like, toddler brain activated. Good night. Like,
Thanks, Jennifer.